Today we're looking at 15 poor excuses people give for not learning DJing. And because this is a live show from our DJ community, I want you to give me your lame, poor excuses for not learning to DJ. Let us know what you've told yourself, the lies you've told yourself over the years. Tell us the excuses you hear people using, and let's debunk them all. Let's get them all out the way. Let's treat them as what they are, excuses. So let's not let anything get in the way of our hobby of being great DJs, right? That's what it's all about today. Because we're live on YouTube, Twitch, and on Facebook, we're going to have a 30-second intro now to let people settle down and tune in. I'll see you on the other side, and we'll get stuck in straight away with our number one in our list of 15. Well, that's good, isn't it? We haven't actually got our intro sequence, but that's all right. All that messing around's giving people time to tune in. Right, let's get started then. Our 15 excuses. So the first excuse that people give for not learning DJing, they don't know where to practice, or rather, don't know what to practice. I'm here. I've got my gear. I'm ready to go. I'm set up. What do I do? What do I actually do? Do I practice this or this? Do I try these? Do I figure out some music? Do I try and plug my decks in and do something around the back? What do I do? What should I actually be doing? And it's normal, right? Because there's an awful lot going on in DJing today. It's so complicated. It's not like it used to be. A couple of records and a little mixer and you were off, you know. It was hard, but it was obvious. There's so much going on today. So what do you practice? It's a big excuse. So the best way of figuring this one out is easy. Book yourself a gig. Doesn't have to be like Tomorrowland main stage, because guess what? You won't be able to do that. Anything when you're playing in public. Get it in the diary, tell people you're doing it. I promise you, when you are 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days, 2 hours before that gig, that event, that live stream, that private party, whatever, you're going to know what to practice, because your mind will be saying, what do I have to do to stop myself looking really stupid today? And so just focusing on what it is that you really need to do to play your gig, it'll be the best way of figuring out what it is you need to do today. And it could be my music. I need to get a nice playlist sorted out. It could be, actually, it's about just learning to cut out the gaps or get the volume right between the tracks I'm playing. It could be all kinds of things. But the point is, you'll know, because one thing that us humans don't like is looking silly in public, right? And so that is my biggest piece of advice to anyone saying, I don't know where to start, don't know what to do, don't know what to practice, it's all too difficult. Just get yourself something in the diary where you're going to be performing, and it will all become clear. Right, listen, I want to know yours. What excuses do you use? What have you told yourself? What lies have you told yourself when it comes to learning how to DJ? Let me know in the comments. We'll be reading a few out at the end. We're doing 15 though. So number 2, I don't know if what I'm doing sounds good. This is really common, because why would you know? You're not a professional DJ. You're a beginner. You don't know whether it sounds good. You've got no one to ask or to tell you. Now, the easiest way of getting around this one, and it's blindingly obvious, is illustrated by this picture. Now, I don't expect you to get some cassettes out, but just hit record in your DJ software and record what it is you're doing. And then listen back to it. Not straight away, because you're still in the mindset of DJ straight away, but listen back to it the next day. Hear what you sound like to everyone else in the world. Because guess what? The only person who doesn't know what you sound like as a DJ is you, because you're too busy doing it at the time. So listen back to your own sets on the way to work, at the gym, when you're getting your dinner ready or whatever. You'll soon see what worked and what didn't. You'll soon see what sounded good and what didn't. So if you don't know if what you're doing sounds good, in other words, am I making any progress here? Just record your sets. You might be pleasantly surprised, and you also might find some things that you think you're quite good at. Actually, no one really hears them or cares or whatever, because you're proof of it, because you've heard it with your own ears. Right, the next one, let's get our picture up for this one. I'm bored of my own mixing. I'm bored of what it is that I do. Well, find a DJ who you don't think is boring. Here's James Hype, our tutor, but of course it could be anyone you admire, and go watch their sets. Just go and watch what they've put on YouTube. You know, like I say, it doesn't have to be James, could be Jazzy Jeff, another one of our tutors, could be Angelo, another one of our tutors. He's done some amazing stuff. Could be Carl Cox, whoever it is that you admire, go and watch them perform a set. There's so much out there now, boiler rooms and that kind of thing. And when you've watched them, you'll hopefully be inspired to do something different. Another really nice way of doing something different is to pick a theme, like pick a different genre, or say, I'm going to do a chill out mixtape if you normally play high tempo or whatever. And you'll find that the creativity that is kind of unleashed by picking something that you wouldn't normally do is sometimes enough to jolt you out of that, you know, I'm bored of what I'm doing. It's normal. It's normal to get bored. It's normal to have lulls on our way to where we're going on our DJ journey. Right, so the next one, I can't find the energy to mix. I just can't bring myself to do it. There you are, all ready to go. And you're just like, oh, no, not today. Look, I know that one. Been there, I feel it. But here's the thing. There are 5 big areas to learning to DJ. And again, I'm prepared here, people. We've actually covered these a lot on the website because, of course, they are in our book, Rock the Dance Floor. And the 5 areas are all important because if you're not covering them all, you won't be becoming a better DJ. So as I say, they're all in the book. Here they are. Gear, music, techniques, playing out and promoting yourself. Gear is the geeky stuff, like what plugs in where, right? All the stuff we were just looking at them around the back of the DJ gear. Can I plug some lights in here? What about DJing with 2 different DJs? What's the difference between these mic inputs? That's all gear, right? It's the geeky stuff. The second one is the music, everything about the music. We have something called the playlist pyramid in this book, which talks about how to build an amazing music collection. But it's finding the music, shortlisting the music, organizing your music, preparing playlists, and so on. Techniques is actually the thing that you're probably not feeling the energy for right now when you ask yourself this question, when you give yourself this excuse, right? I don't want to mix right now, but this is mixing. Of course, it's important. Playing out, performing, and preparing and promoting yourself, doing stuff to get your music out there, maybe setting up a Mixcloud channel so you can share your mixes or whatever. All these things are important, and there's always something you can do in the other areas. So if you're not feeling the area that you are currently thinking, well, I can't be bothered DJing because I don't want to do it. And again, it's normally techniques, it's normally mixing. Do something in one of the others. You'll be doing something that you're going to be finding fun, and at the same time, you're going to be making yourself a filling in the gaps so that everything goes up. So it's not a waste of time if you just don't want to do mixing. Do one of the other things. There's lots to do there. You want a free copy of that, by the way, just join Digital DJ Tips. There's a link underneath this video. It's free, and I'll give you a free copy of the book. Right, so the next one then. This is probably, actually I'll leave this one. I'll do this one after the next one because it's the biggest one, so I want to put it somewhere near the middle. But the one after that then that I've got here is illustrated by this picture here. It's a lovely DJ setup, right? Who wouldn't want to walk up there and start DJing straight away? And so I can't be bothered setting my gear up is the next excuse. So try and have a permanent setup at home. Now, we can't all have something that's as nice as this, of course, but there's nothing wrong with having your gear set up in a corner where with a blanket thrown over it or something, or a deck saver cover. We love our deck saver covers. They're fantastic. I've actually got one here in the studio right now. This is a deck saver cover. They clip on your gear and you can pile stuff on top of it or whatever. This one here actually is for our little console here. This is behind my water. It's what I control the live streams with. Look, you can get these for all gear nowadays. So have your gear permanently set up, stick the cover on when you're not using it, take the cover off, turn the laptop on, you're ready to go, right? So having some kind of permanent setup, even if it's in the corner of the living room, if you haven't got room to have a studio like the one we're looking at in this picture here, that's absolutely fine. But it's like going to the gym, isn't it? Has anyone ever joined a gym and then just thought, you know what? Can't be bothered going there. It's exactly the same thing, right? So if you can do anything to make it easier, to design easy DJing into your life, you can kill that excuse. Right, the big one. Can anyone guess what the big excuse is? The biggest excuse of all. I know this, you're probably saying it right now. What is it? Have a think. The biggest excuse for not DJing, not learning to be a better DJ. And of course, it is time. I haven't got time. I can't make time for my DJing. I'm busy. I've got family. I've got work. I can't make the time to do it. Well, here's the horrible truth. You can't make time. There's only 24 hours in the day. So what you're going to do about it, you're going to get this out and you're going to put it in your calendar. Because if you put it in your calendar, what happens is you will do it. So little and often in your calendar is the key. If you put 5 hours in every Sunday, guess what? You wake up hungover one Sunday morning, you miss your whole week's practice. But if you put 5 1-hour sessions in, then if you miss 1 or 2 of them, you've still done 3 or 4 hours of practice that week. Put it in a calendar, preferably an electric one, not an old-fashioned one like this. So on your phone, something electronic, something that your family can see as well, and treat it like an appointment, like going to play football. If you're in a like football side or something, you're not going to miss football practice, are you? Or if you've got an appointment with the dentist, you're not going to miss it, right? Because we don't miss these things. Treat it in the same way. Make an appointment with yourself to do your DJing. Find the time that way. Now, in doing that, you're going to do the one really important thing here, which is taking time from something else. Because you can't make time, you have to take time. So what is it you're going to give up? Looking at your calendar, and I do it every Sunday night. Every Sunday night, I sit down and funnily enough, ironically maybe, I have a reminder to remind me to do this. Every Sunday night, I sit down, I look ahead at the next week's calendar, I slot in everything I want to do, and I scratch my head and I think, right, I can't do that, I can't fit that in. What's going to have to move? What's going to have to wait till next week? What am I just going to have to give up this week in order to fit in the important things? And then when I'm happy, when I can take a deep breath and smile and say, okay, I can do this, that week's okay. It looks good. It's got enough fun things in. It's got enough important things in. I can do it. Then we're good to go, right? Monday morning comes, you just execute your plan. And so using a calendar to fit your DJing in is a way to conquer not being able to find time to do it. The next one is I don't know how to say this really without, I don't want to sound rude, but I feel stupid. I feel like people are laughing at me for DJing. I'm clearly not a DJ. This is that little voice in your head that tells you you are not good enough. It's got a name. It's called Imposter Syndrome. And I love this graphic. Everyone feels like an imposter sometimes, and that's okay. So this has got the 3 areas, and you are definitely one of them. You are either one of those people who gets imposter syndrome, one of those other people who gets imposter syndrome, or one of literally everyone else, they get imposter syndrome too. You can never know everything there is to know about DJing. And honestly, you can never know maybe half of it. But guess what? That's the same for everyone. They're all like it. No one knows everything. You're just fitting in with everyone else, trying to do the best you can, having fun doing it, trying to add to the community, trying to add to what we all know and what we all enjoy. And so, yes, you're going to feel stupid. The reason you feel stupid is that people always feel that way when what they're learning is worth learning. And so if what you're learning is worth learning, which I'm hoping you agree with me that it is, then you're going to feel sometimes that it's uncomfortable learning it. But that's fine. That's okay. And look, I remember when I was DJing 5 nights a week for 20 odd years, even towards the end of that time, I still felt nervous. I still felt like if someone came up to me and said, "What are you doing? I mean, why are you even trying?" It would have hurt, right? And this is after I'd bought a house. The money I'd made doing it, right? So look, it's very, very normal to feel like that. Right, the next one, I'm not even sure if I wrote this one down. I'm going off piste here, but I found a good picture and it's true. So, oh yes, I did write this one down. It's actually the very last one on my list. It's jumped ahead, but this is the picture. And of course it is, I feel too old to DJ, too old to be a DJ. Well, look, there's a nice little meme there. It's not about age, it's about attitude. And I would put that down to, well, look, if you can still stand up, you can still DJ. But look, here's another way of looking at it. If you are not 18 anymore, guess what you've got? Decades of experience of music. You know music. You've also got decades of experience of life. So you know how to be determined at something you really want to do. 2 things that I'm sure we can agree you probably didn't have at 18 years old. And you're also, let's not beat about the bush here, you're also running out of time. So if you've always wanted to do this, if not now, when? So look, you are never too old to DJ. Yes, you're probably too old to be the next superstar DJ, but that's not why you're doing it. I know that's not why you're doing it. You know that's not why you're doing it, so it's not an issue. Don't let that ever be an excuse. Another excuse, I can't stand the music. The music nowadays is rubbish. I don't want to do it because the music is poor. It's not for me. Well, look, you don't have to DJ with today's music if you don't want to. It's absolutely fine to DJ with the music you love. In fact, a lot of DJs in our community and in our school do exactly that. They just play the music they love and they're happy about it. You should be happy about it too if that's you. Jazzy Jeff always says this: face reality, face facts. If you want to play the music you love and that's all that interests you, just accept that you probably can't rock up at your local club on a Friday night, play that music, and suddenly everyone's like, wow, where have you been all our lives? Here's loads of money, right? Come back next week. It doesn't work like that. If you want to play music for people who are going out right now, the 18 to 21-year-olds who are going out now in the clubs where they all are and where the money is, then you probably have to play the music that they want. If you want to be a mobile DJ, a wedding DJ, an event DJ, and you want to play music for every generation from 4-year-olds up to 80-year-olds who are there to celebrate a wedding or whatever, then you probably have to play the music they want, because that's the gig. That's why you get paid. You're there to do a job. It's not about you, it's about them. But DJing's bigger than that, and it's just fine to play the music you like. All you should do is say to yourself, okay, there's no audience for it here, and where am I going to find an audience for it? And nowadays that's often online. There's a lot of people on Twitch, and if you've been on Twitch you'll know this, who are doing a lot of DJing, playing a lot of very niche genres, shall we say, and they are doing just fine, right? So look, go into it with your eyes open, but it's fine to DJ with your music. You must, unless you actually adore the art of having a great dance floor full of people loving what you're doing, not because of you and your amazing choice of music, but because you've mastered playing the music they want to hear. That's the mobile DJ's gig, and there's nothing wrong with that, but just be honest about it with yourself. Right, I can't find the gigs. Again, this can come with being a bit older, because when you're 21, your mates are all 21, you're all going out, hey, you're the one with the record collection, you're the one DJing, no problem. When you're 51, not quite as easy. Can't find the gigs, but it can happen anywhere, at any age, for any reason. There's more than one way of gigging nowadays. The big one, of course, is live streaming. You don't have to go to your nearest beach and put a bikini on and wave around in the wind to do this. You can just do it, in your underwear in your bedroom, as long as you keep the camera above waist height, of course. But the point is, live streaming is a great way of DJing if you can't get gigs or you don't want to go out, you've got no intention of going out and playing gigs. But there's other ways of doing it as well. You can play private parties, you can make mixtapes. There's loads of ways of performing. And actually in our book, it says gear, music, techniques, playing out and promoting yourself. In the next version of this book, which is coming soon, we're going to change that to performing, because DJing is now bigger than just playing in clubs. There's lots and lots of ways to perform. So if you can't find the gigs, live stream, play private parties, put your mixes on Mixcloud. Hell, even start promoting events if you want. Get your crew out 4 times a year, every holiday weekend, put a big party on, play the music you love. There's lots of things you can do that mean that you can find enough gigs in a year. And for most of us, 3 or 4 times a year, playing out parties we remember, fantastic. That's what it's all about. So look, don't think that it's something that you have to be doing every weekend in a nightclub in order to justify the money and justify the time you're spending learning. We're talking about excuses for not learning DJing today, folks, and here's another one. It's too expensive. No, it isn't. This costs $70. It's a great little DJ controller. As long as you've got any old laptop you can plug it into. It comes with the software. It's even got a light show on the back, and you might laugh, but this is absolutely fine. This does 10 times, 30 times, 50 times what a pair of Technics and an old-fashioned mixer does. And so to say that I can't afford the gear, what you're really saying is I can't afford this gear. But you don't need this gear to DJ. Just as well, it's about £8,000 worth, dollars worth, euros worth, whatever it is. It's a lot of money to buy a DJM A9 mixer and 2 CDJ 3000s, but you don't need that to learn to DJ. To learn to DJ, you need 4 things. 2 sources of music where you can alter the speed of them. A way of mixing between those sources of music. A way of listening in your headphones to what the audience isn't hearing, and a way of getting the music out to the audience. So in other words, some kind of speakers. That is it. If you've got that, you can learn 80% of the skills of DJing, because we all know now the skills of DJing are not all about mixing. They're about everything else we talked about. Gear, music, techniques, playing out, promoting yourself. And even when it comes to the mixing, you can do everything on there and 10 times more than you could ever do on turntables. So it really isn't important to have the best gear. In fact, we always advise our students, do not spend a lot of money on your first DJ gear. Even if you want to spend a bit more than that, and that's absolutely fine, go with something like this. Go with something like a little DDJ Rev 1 or a Flex 4. Either of these would be a fantastic way to start your DJing career, because They have got everything that you see on the Pro Gear, or at least very nearly everything you see on the Pro Gear, or at least a version of it. And they will have two possible outcomes for you. One, you decide it's not for you, right? So you sell it. Well, you get nearly back what you paid for it because they didn't cost very much in the first place. So if you lose $100 over a year, who cares? But the second thing is, even if you do want to buy more gear later on, you're going to want to keep that as a backup, because every good DJ has a backup, a plan B, right? So it's not money wasted. It's a win-win. So do not worry about that. You know, just buy something cheap, get started, and decide if it's for you. And if it is for you, well, you know what to do. Right. Okay. Another one we hear a lot here. I'm just not musical. I can't play a musical instrument. I don't understand musical theory. All those lines and circles, to me, a mystery, to quote Natalie Merchant of 10,000 Maniacs. Wonderful band. So look, you don't need to be able to do this. DJing is not about this. Yes, if you want to produce music, it starts to become more important. DJing is about knowing what to play for the people in front of you right now. It's about the difference between being a music geek and a musician. A music geek knows their music. They're passionate about music. They're passionate about knowing where the music came from, who made it, collecting it, having it, understanding it, and playing it. And you don't need to be musical to do that. You really don't. There's a big difference between being a DJ and a producer. And I think part of the problem out there nowadays is that that's become blurred, and people think if I can make music, I can also DJ. And it's not true. And it's also the other way. Hey, I'm a great DJ. I bet perhaps I can make music. As I said, it becomes a bit more complicated when you're starting to move into making music. But look, they're separate things. It's about counting, timing, loving the dance floor, loving the music, being a bit of a geek, and figuring out the skills of DJing, which are different from the skills of making music or playing instruments. You do not have to be in any way a musician in order to be a DJ. It just isn't true. And so linked to this one is the next one. I'm just not creative. I'm just not creative. I'm just a normal person. I haven't got that. I haven't got it in me. I haven't got that creativity in me to do it. Well, you've heard this one before, but let's share it again. Creativity is 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. In other words, learning to DJ and learning to do creative stuff comes from all the work you put in the background. Another way to look at this is the way that we always talk about it. The fun happens where the music and the technology meet. That's why modern DJ gear is so much fun, because it's got features on it, stems, automating your mixes, cues and loops and beat jumps and samplers and so on. It's got stuff on it which you could say, okay, I'm not going to be creative today. I'm just going to figure out how this works, or this works, or that works, or that works, or that works. And in doing that, you suddenly get ideas for your DJing. The fun happens where the music and the technology meet. And today we've got more technology to play with than ever before. And so the idea that you're not creative is because you haven't spent enough time trying to be creative. And creativity doesn't come from sitting down and saying, I'm going to be a genius today. It comes from just figuring stuff out that you've got. So look, don't think that you're not creative. No one's born creative. It's something that comes. You can train your creativity. Experimenting, practicing, learning new features, trying to break things is a great way of doing it. Okay, they've given me some knobs here. I'll give you a good example. The very first acid house bass lines came from the Roland 303. It was a TB303. It was a little box. I don't think I've got any production boxes here at the moment, but it's a little box. Well, it looked a bit like this, but it was that way around, right? It was a little box, you press buttons on it and stuff. And it was designed so that guitarists could make bass lines so that they could play along to them. They could program a bass line in and play along. But people realized if you messed around with the knobs in ways that you weren't meant to, it made this horrible screeching noise. And then if you stuck a beat behind that, it suddenly became quite interesting. Acid house was born. Trying to break things, experimenting with technology, looking at what we've been given and trying to do stuff with it that other people haven't done. We probably don't think of that as creative. We just think of it as having fun or messing around. But that's where the best ideas sometimes come from. And you only do that by actually doing it. So instead of sitting there thinking I'm not creative, giving yourself a poor excuse, have a go. You never know what's going to come from it. Right, that's quite enough of my ideas here. I want to now hear about your ideas, because that's what these live shows are all about. So for the next few minutes, let's just pull the old computer in and dial into the chat going on. This is where I find out that we haven't been on the air and there's no one there. Oh, look, you're all there. We have been on the air. Also, awesome. Right, brilliant people. Hello, welcome to the regulars. Let's just scroll down then and find some people chatting about DJing excuses. Kesha, DJ Baldwin, Connor on Twitch. Hello, Jack. Hello, Mike and Chris and Don and Mixmaster G. Analysis paralysis says progress is made. Yes, analysis paralysis. It's like, okay, I've got this is the overwhelm, isn't it? Oh no, I've got so much to do. I don't know where to start. Bang. I agree completely. And booking a gig is a good way of stopping that. Suddenly you're analysing how to not make a fool of yourself in a couple of weeks. And as I said, kind of like does pull into view then what you've really got to do. You don't like my music says, obviously you have to have an obsessive love for music to be a DJ. Oh, I'm looking at that camera and it's on there. There we go. You've got to have an obsessive love for music. Yes, I agree. An obsessive love for music is a fantastic reason to be a DJ, but often people think that makes me a record collector, not a DJ, right? So let's try and make that leap for everyone who wants to be a DJ. And also, if it sounds good to you, the chances are someone else will like it too. Well, that's very true. So Mixmaster G says, when I started DJing, mixing 2 tracks together was not really learning to DJ. Looking at other DJs in the DJ booth was the only way to go because there was no YouTube, etc. Funnily enough, I was talking about that just today because I'd found this picture. I think I've shared this on a live stream before. But we've just finished. The reason I've got this out is that we've just finished our training tutorial on this, which is our training tutorials are big, like 2-hour videos on how to use DJ gear. And we just finished a big one on this. So we have an intro video that I always like to run when we are telling people about these courses, and the intro video has always got me talking about when I was a rookie DJ, when I was young. And there's a picture I always share, which I'm going to try and find for you now. It's in my folder here somewhere. Let's see if I can find it while I'm still talking to you. I think it's here, and it's a picture of me in probably, I don't know, 1992, something like that, when I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was getting by, I was playing out. Here we go. Here it is. Let me get it open and I'll chuck it on the screen for you. And I always say when I show this picture, we didn't have YouTube. We got frustrated, but we got through somehow. And I totally agree with you, Mixmaster G. Look at this. Let's just deconstruct this picture a bit, right? So can you see my mouse pointer there? We've got slightly younger me. We've got a board here with all my flyers on it, places I DJ'd. At the top here, we've got a CD burner, so I could burn mixes. I've got my speaker here, one of my speakers there, I don't know where the other one was. My TV, notice I've got the audio coming out of the TV so I can sample it into my DJ unit here, which had a 4-second sampler on it, I seem to remember. All my mix tapes, they actually were tapes down at the bottom of the picture there. Fantastic times. And there we go. So yeah, I didn't have YouTube. I agree with you, Mixmaster G. It was different times back then, wasn't it? We couldn't be luckier now, actually, to have all these fantastic tools at our disposal, but it does make it difficult because it's like you say, analysis paralysis. There's so much and everyone's got so much. It's like, oh no, where do I start? Agree completely. So Mike says, Phil, I don't have excuses. I have anxiety. I have depression. I followed your beginner's course at my own pace. I've bought courses, but I'm determined to get there in my own time. Mike, you are starting from where you're starting, and you are not the only person in the world that has things that make it not perfect. There's never a perfect mental state to do this, and there's never a perfect time to do this. There's never a time when all those things align. But I'll tell you what, there's nothing that helps you, in my mind, more than doing what you love and seeing progress in what you love. The cure is there staring you in the face, or at least part of the cure, and I wish you all the best of luck, Mike. You stick with it and stick with us. I tell new DJs, says DJ Nick's in the mix, instead of practicing, go experiment. Yes, I agree. Take the pressure off yourself. Experimentation doesn't sound like you're having to perform, does it? Practicing maybe does. And so practicing implies that you're going to be practicing something, whereas experimenting is just having fun. I totally agree. I love that wording. Harry says, I've just returned to digital after 30 years on record decks. Wow, Harry, welcome back. So again, Mixmaster G reinforcing what I said, record your sets, but listen back later. and that way you'll hear them in differently than if you listen back straight away. I agree completely there. Lou says, I'm looking forward to seeing your Flex 10 walkthrough. I have the DDJ 1000, but I've just got the Flex 10. Are you going to do a little comparison on the walkthrough? We mentioned the fact that it's built on the DDJ 1000, but honestly, this thing's very similar to the DDJ 1000. It's got the stems, which are new, the mix point link, which is new, better sound quality going on. You can split the stems to play them on the effects, which again is new. And around the back, of course, we've got well, that's the wrong thing. That's the wrong thing as well. Around the back, we've got the ability to plug in lights, which we didn't have before. But more than that, it is very similar to the old DDJ 1000. To be fair. Right, Johnny says, I actually go through a sort of screening process where I do my set from start to finish, sort of a dry run. And then I listen to it when I'm on my way to work and I figure out what sounds good and what needs improving. And once I'm satisfied, I'll upload it. Wow, it sounds like you really got that nailed. So $100 for a piece of plastic, talking about that what was it called? Party mix, that party mix. I used to have one here actually, it's not here anymore. DJ controller we looked at earlier. Yes, but it's worth it. Dust is the bane of every DJ's existence, says you don't like my music. Andrew says, I just want a chance to play out. I wish this tech was around back in the day. I've been banging my head trying to get recognised. Well, go for it. Keep going for it. Don says, it's amazing how 2 weeks before a concert, my youth orchestra students won't know their music yet. By the show start, they have learnt the parts that needed work. I know my daughter is in 2 shows at the moment. She's 11. She's in a choir, which we're going to go and see tonight because it's their Christmas choir practice, and she's also in a show, a proper show, because she's a performer, my daughter, and she's been exactly the same. She's doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for the show last week and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for the choir concert this week. And guess what? She's miraculously managed to learn what to do and learn her part in time, literally just in time. Funny that, isn't it? DJ5 says, I learned to DJ back in the 90s and I was okay. I had a residency in a London club. It seems it's more computer users who DJ now rather than DJs. The two do not have to be separate. Just because you're doing it on a computer doesn't mean you're any more or any less a DJ than someone who does it any other way. So this is from Danny. Ha ha, today's mainstream music is pretty awful. Good thing there's so much more out there. Mika says, I'm a mobile retro music DJ and the demand for retro music is there and it pays very well for me. Awesome, you found your niche and you found something where the music that you love overlaps with the music that people who want to pay you love. Perfect, you're there. This is from Billy. Just do the work, says Billy, and make time, not excuses. I have recently jumped back into this world in February of this year, and since then I've recorded and produced over 200 live sets. I've built a website, I've built a merch store, and I wake up every day ready to get creative. And trust me, I still have bills to pay and life dealings like everyone else, and I still struggle to get people to listen and to not ignore me online when I'm trying to gain exposure. It's a tough gig, but nothing easy is ever worth it. You have to want it. I love it. You know, I think it was one of the classic writers. Who was it? I want to say Ernest Hemingway, but anyway, someone like that said, you know, people ask me how I be creative, and I say, well, I turn up at 9 o'clock every morning, and there's a lot in that. I paraphrased that, but you know what I mean. The creative people are the ones who put the perspiration in, as we were saying. Mr. Sheridan says, there is some crabby grandpa-ness in the I hate music attitude though. Yeah, most of what makes it to the radio is lame, but radio is so restrictive, that's just the tip of the pop iceberg. Oh yeah, I'm just giving you a excuse people give. I think there's good and bad music everywhere, personally. Sometimes pop music knocks me down. Not as often as it used to, and I'm happy with that because I've heard it all before. But sometimes pop music just knocks me dead, and I just think, wow, what a song. It just happens few times less each year than it used to when I didn't know any better. But I think that's great. It's part of getting older. I totally agree with you, Mr. Sheridan. DJ Disco Paulie G says, I've just set up my manned studio called Asgard Studios as the space is shared with my guinea pigs, Thor and Loki. I love that. So you've got somewhere to play whenever you want. That's cool. Right. So this one is from, I'm just looking for people giving, because a lot of you are just chatting DJing, which is great. I'm just looking for something about this topic though, because we're going to try and stick to topic today for the people watching the replay. Liza Music on Twitch says, hi, I'm new to Twitch and DJing is not on my list of skills to spend time on, but I did like your title and you have great things to say. Wow, we're getting people on Twitch watching this who aren't even DJs. So thank you. Yeah, and you're right. This is about creativity and about learning in general. It doesn't have to just apply to DJing completely. Mr. Tope says on YouTube, says, I don't want to start because I'm overwhelmed with preparing my tracks. What's the easiest way to add cue points to 2,000 tracks in Rekordbox? What's the difference between cue points and hot cues? Right, let's unpack this. You don't need 2,000 tracks. Why are you getting ready for DJing? What is it you want to do? What's your first step? What is the first step that you want to achieve? Is it playing for 45 minutes on Twitch? Is it playing a 1 hour gig at your local pub or bar? How many tracks do you need for that? It's not 2,000, is it? So if you're going to play at your local bar for an hour, let's say it's 20 tracks, 30 tracks, you're going to need probably double that amount so that when you get there, you can just kind of make it up as you go along. You don't have to stick to a set playlist. So get your cue points sorted out on 60 tracks and you're good to go. Forget 2,000. Stop making it too big for yourself for no reason. And what's the difference between cue points and hot cues? Do you need that to press play? Well, figure out how to press play and get your first hour set done then, and then start worrying about that. You see, the trouble is there's so much to learn on these things that we think unless we learn everything, we can't start. Remember what I said, there are 4 things you need. 2 variable speed music sources. Some way of getting your headphones to play one of them that the audience can't hear. Some way of mixing between the 2 and some speakers so that you can play to other people, right? And as long as you figure that out, hot cues, memory cues, cue loops, beat jump, oh wow, so many tracks to organize, that can all wait. Set yourself small goals and just do what's necessary to get to those goals. Trust me, it's the way forward, baby steps. Right, I want to just do one more question then, and then I gotta shoot off people. This one is from, we just talk about the idea of recording your sets. So let's end with this. It's from DJ Rhythm Selector on Facebook, who says, yes, I do record everything. I'm my worst or my best critic, depending on how you look at it, but it does pay off as I also stay on point. Also, I have a huge amount of recorded sets, which I sometimes sell, and I use them when I'm alone and I want a quick break. I always tell other DJs to record as often as you can. Cool, right, look, we've covered a lot here today, people. Thanks for jumping in and sharing yours with me. If you haven't had your point read out, I'm sorry, but these shows are very, very busy. Students of Digital DJ Tips, of course, get their private shows over in the Student Live and Student Hub area of our training platform where everything gets answered. So if you are a student, come back there and we'll do this again in a smaller group at some point soon. But look, thank you very much wherever you're watching, YouTube, Twitch, or indeed Facebook. It's me, Phil, in the studio saying until next time, and next time will be on Tuesday, 3 p.m. London, 10 a.m. Eastern. Get good, get out there, make the moments, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.